So with 2 years worth of stuff to work on, this is why I wanted to make sure you have this. And I'm going to answer Liz's question, but I wanted to make sure that you heard, because it looks like you got to go.
Yes, I can.
Make sure you take
But I'm listening.
take your child's report. You need to see your child's scores now in comparison to the national as well as his or her class, because that is the best way for you to work with your homeroom teacher in supplementing your child's education in areas where your student may be a little different than the whole. And so whether that's in an accelerated way or if that's in a way they need extra support, bottom line is, if you can't make heads or tails sense out of these numbers, Mrs. Dirks or Mr. Mejia will help you. Make an appointment with them, bring in the papers and say, what does this mean about my kid? Is there something I can do?
Well, I'm a little more concerned about some of the other numbers I'm seeing, but that's for another day, because I gotta go. Because like I'm seeing here in language, and I mean, I'm seeing a lot of high 60s. I mean, those don't look like numbers I'd
So,
be thrilled with.
As you pointed out, as she points out on the back page, when you look at, actually I should flip it to, if you compare language, she was looking at the numbers for language where our students are only in the 60 or 70% above national, those who took the test. So that means 68% of our kids in that group performed better than others who took this test. Is that number as strong as it should be for that grade level for language? We'll be looking at that. On the back side, though, I also want to point out that when we look at thinking skills in the complete battery, that the core knowledge, one of the objectives of core knowledge is to improve critical thinking, and we're seeing that trend in these numbers. We're also seeing in the complete battery an overall improvement, grade by grade, in ways that we want to say, okay, there are parts that are obviously, they're taking root. And so is language an area, is reading an area, is math, or is it one particular class that needs attention? That's how we use it.
Grade 3.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So the other take home from this was make sure you use your individual students' SAT scores to get the most out of the education that we're offering here. Any other questions on curriculum implementation progress, on these test scores, how to use them? Then on the last page you have on here is the marketing strategy. So as we have been doing since we began this process, we want to make sure folks know the things that are happening around us to get the message out to the community. And we're seeing really good results, I think, from the messaging and people becoming aware of not only the enrollment and or open house, but just of associating our Savior with faith and excellence, with a place where kids get an education, because we did find in our Mosaic process that our Savior was not as well known as it once had been. As a result of that, there were two key things that we did very much on purpose. One was a transformation of the dress code. We have deliberately added some variation into the uniform our children wear, because that is probably the most significant visible evidence that there's a school here. And when people see that cobalt blue shirt and the combination of things they did, which is different than the uniform they'd been accustomed to seeing before, it gets their attention. Even if it's not conscious, it does get their attention. They realize something's changed. And in the not too distant future, that's why we're asking for polo shirts to all have that Our Savior logo on it. Because that brand recognition, for good or for bad, this is the world and society we live in. We're all moving at 100,000 miles an hour. And we need to see a message repeatedly just to begin to have a conversation about it. Okay? Who knows what the real thing is? That's Coca-Cola, right? Why do we know that? Us Pepsi drinkers know that because
Pounded into it.
they did it. They have their brand and their slogan in front of us enough that you can't miss it. That's what we're after. Number two, the investment at the theater of the intersection of faith and excellence. You know, for a while we still wondered what kind of an impact that would have. I found out the impact in the men's locker room at Lifestyle. Yeah. Complete stranger. Complete stranger.
Stop there, Phil.
And just in a brief conversation, that's all that happens in the men's locker room. You're from Our Savior. I said, yeah. You know, I've never been there, but I know you guys are doing a great job in the community, because I see those kids everywhere, and everything I hear about that place is, you know what, that's just excellence all the way around. I'm thinking, you go to the movies a lot, don't you?
Yeah, I can work with
But I, wanted to share that very real-life experience, and that messaging is working. You see what's on here. There are more things that we can do, but the most important thing we can do is that if you are passionate about this school, if you believe in the direction we're going, that is the most effective way to get the word to other people that this is where they want their kids to be.
Phil, I got one comment about that, and it's kind of a dead horse, but we need a sign out front that people actually know where it is.
That it's here, that it's a school.
Yeah, yeah, I know that's been brought up several hundred times, but I'm here to throw my hat in the ring to say I would be more than happy to do what needs to do.
In fairness, we're all in the, there's so many of us of the same mind, and so in fairness to the school, the congregation, and everyone involved, you can look at these numbers and go, we have got a little breathing room, but it's a little, shaky right now. And can we come up with enough funding to make sure that tuition is paid and kids are in school, and simultaneously be asking people to do what it takes to invest in the signage that didn't get done in that phase of construction? I don't think it's impossible, but I agree with you, Mike. We really need to get that done. And the banners have helped. That was a creative way of getting people's attention and getting some, what's the word I'm looking for, visibility. Yes?
I think the sign will actually help with tuition because
You invest.
we know people that live back here in these houses that didn't even know that this was a school.
Yeah.
Particularly junior high.
Right.
So I think if you want one to go up, the other
When
one
you
to
say
help.
that's a classic example of you need to really spend it in the right place in order
Right.
to generate it in the right place. I would not argue with that.
How much, is that a huge expense in what we're looking for?
I
So
don't-
we're looking for something that
I don't
also
remember anymore,
advertises
Jane.
the
I have to
church.
say that it was significant, and what was originally planned, which really the drawings for that, like this building, were done prior to me being here. And so I know the whole thing got put on ice for financial reasons, and I frankly, one, don't know what it was gonna cost. Two, not sure what it looked like. Three, don't even know if that's the one we want anymore. So four, going back to what Mike said, and several of us here have had this conversation, I think it'd be a really cool rallying point, that we could all get kind of excited about something like that, that identifies us in the community. And I know we have at least one director here who's heard the conversation that can help me carry the message to those.
Well, then that would be beneficial for the church as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, Elizabeth?
If it could be a rallying point, would the school be allowed to start the rally?
What I want to say is, using Mike Valentine as he has stepped forward and says, I want to be someone who is going to help make this happen. Let's start communicating, all from the school community who want to be part of this, to Mike Valentine. I'm going to take that same message to those people that I work with to see if we can't form a task force. Because I'm thinking of a guy from the congregation who, just about a year ago, said, that sign's been out there so long, and you know what that sign says to me? It says, we're poor. That's all it says to me.
Yeah.
I'm going, no, I can't disagree with you. So how do we un-4 the sign? So I think of one other person from the congregation who would probably want to be part of that dialogue. Okay?
It's mvalentine@oslm.net.
M. Valentine, so just like that day that's coming up in a couple of weeks. With an M in front of it. They have a day. See, he's so popular, they have a date for him. Liz?
I just want to say how great it is to see the signs all over town. I've been noticing, and it's like over 4th Street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
score
Then the
that.
flapping signs, when we drive by, lets us art, computer Spanish. I mean, those are all great. And I guess hopefully not too expensive things. Highly visible. It's just great. Makes you feel good. It's like, we go there. That's where we go.
Yeah.
And then the movies too. That's fun too.
Oh, yeah, I got that there.
Oh, the
It's
movie
been
was
very
good.
nice to see.
Yeah.
It is. One of those residual benefits, or from having Alf there with our Savior up on the marquee, which makes me wonder if you maybe want more attendance at PTO, have a movie at the Vine in the middle, do intermission, do your business, elect people, and then go back to the movie.
Ah,
Not a bad idea.
So were there any other questions then, 'cause instead we did this along the way, so were there questions you have that the issues that I have raised did not surface? Or give you an idea that you know where to get the answers from? Here I thought Randy was coming forward with a list of questions.
Could you answer